Unlike most League players, I sometimes want to actually have fun playing this game. I made a whole bunch of off-meta videos and some of you guys decided that you would help me out and suggest some builds for me to try. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, a lot of them are just not good ideas. Or are they? If you enjoyed this video and want it to be a series, then feel free to put an idea in the comments. And as you're about to see, I really don't have any standards here. Let's start off with Veigar jungle. Veigar is a champion who scales infinitely by hitting champions with abilities and last hitting with his Q. So let's put him in the jungle where there won't be any enemy champions and there are less creatures to last hit. I've heard worse ideas. This game starts fantastically, with me getting a free stack on Echo and 13 gold from first strike, which totally isn't a bad omen or anything. Luckily, my Lucian decided to help out with the blue buff, because I probably would have died otherwise, and I managed to finish my first clear at a speedy 4 minutes, which happened to be enough time for the enemy team to get the Feat of Warfare. Great. My first gank of this game was a resounding meh. I got another stack at least. Xylitol wanted to show how a real jungler ganks, but thankfully I'd already warded exactly where he is. There should be absolutely no way that Ambessa gets surprised by him, but just in case, I made sure to ping him. Just my way of keeping my laners safe. Okay then, jungle diff I guess. Time to take revenge. It's probably a good time to mention that I've never actually played Veigar before, and yeah, I'm not really a master of the old cage ability yet, and I don't do nearly as much damage as I wanted to, so you know what, maybe this actually is a jungle diff. After basically winning lane for Ambessa, I go to help out bot. It's only after blowing all of my abilities on Rel that I realised that hitting Twitch would actually make a lot more sense, landing me an assist and a free cannon. I tried to take Drake, but it's actually much more fun to fight Synthion, so we do that instead, further widening the jungle canyon taking place and showing how well me and Pyke work together. Echo gets bullied by the Dream Duo plus Vi, and I finally get my first kill. Our mid laner fulfills her name soon after, and it's looking bleak for me and Pyke. Luckily for us, Xin didn't account for the power of friendship. I low-key, high-key did not do very much this fight. It starts off well with this cage, but my ult got stopped by some grass, so Aatrox lived for a bit longer. I tried to kill him, but he died just in time for that to not work, and meanwhile Xin is just kind of poking me. Then he dashes to Ambessa and dies before I can ult him, so a jungle diff, I guess. You're welcome guys. And of course Diana was there, just in time. After another close brush with Aatrox, I ganked bot. I thought that the bot lane would be able to finish off Twitch while I'd catch Rel, however the rat eluded them. Thankfully, I was able to finish him off with my Pyke's auto attack. Yeah, great. Thanks, buddy. While this fight was a bit of a mess, Aatrox just sprinting into a wall of CC meant it actually went incredibly well for us. Me and Pyke show off how well our champs work together by failing to tower dive Twitch and dying. This is definitely the fault of the build. Mid lane Veigar would absolutely never die here. You know, when I decided to play jungle Veigar, I was really expecting the hardest part to be, the clear or invades, and not being unable to land my R. It's a point and click ability. Finally figured out my ult in time to assert my dominance over Xin. Welcome to the future of the jungle world, mate, because there is no stopping this strategy. This is actually going really well, and as long as the enemies don't try to harm me, I'm actually surviving for a long time in teamfights. To top it all off, I'm sure that Xylitol was absolutely fuming at, well, this whole game really, but especially this part. My whole team died without me, but in my defense, I was getting an important objective. The enemy's raptors, because I'm a real jungler.
Big, come. Come. You're so lazy, bro. Run faster.
I've got a few items under my belt now and I can really see why people play this champ. It's pretty funny seeing this menacing munchkin just point a stick at a towering demon and delete him. Hitting him harder than you should hit that subscribe button. Fun fact, less than 1% of you subscribed. The fun part of that fact is that you can change that right now by hitting the red button. Thank you. Uh-oh.
I need to be up here.
Let's go!
That is not good.
Sorry, but I got a kill, so... I genuinely don't know what I was thinking with this cage, but luckily Xin was simply unable to resist walking directly into it. This fight actually went really well until it didn't, and then my entire team died. Which honestly just goes to show how strong this build is. Survival of the fittest and all that. Nobody expects the Veigar jungle, but you have to keep that element of surprise throughout the whole game. Boom. Who saw that coming? Not the enemies.
Did you just king Sonya's?
Yep, and not me either, to be honest. I thought Shredder's was on that key. Although, as a Veigar, a 50-minute game certainly has its upsides. Maybe it would have more upsides if I was good at playing Veigar. After my whole team died, it was a base race. Who would win? It was 3 of their team versus just my Ambessa, who despite being full build had been split pushing that entire fight instead of being part of the team. She was pushing via top lane. This was the only lane that still had a tier 3 tower. Yeah, they won that race. Thanks, Ambessa. Okay, so Veigar jungle goes in B tier? Because even though this went shockingly well, that might have been carried slightly by this being a 15-minute Veigar game. There were obviously flaws, such as that I don't think I would have survived my first clear without help, and that I'm not very good at this champion, but I honestly think that's the fault of the build, definitely not me. Alright, now it's time for Bruiser Misfortune. A classic problem with ADCs is that they have low survivability, so how about we give them a bit more tankiness? That's right, we're talking Trinity Force, Spear of Sojin, Black Cleaver, etc. Theoretically, I'll be doing less, but still a decent amount of damage while not imploding whenever an enemy champion looks at me the wrong way. An early fight results in some massive damage on Yasuo, and that's a great sign for this build if it wasn't for the fact that I'm just a regular Misfortune with a D-Blade. After continued success in lane, I help out the jungler with grubs and a fight breaks out. Trundle is 0-0 but still thinks he can fight a 2v1 because, well, what do you expect as a Trundle player? After he dies, Yasuo and Garen, wow, a Trundle and Garen on the same team, what a meeting of the minds. Anyway, they come over and my ult does some damage. We bring Garen down to 1 HP, but me being out of mana means that he's able to get away. Yasuo almost turns the fight around, but Kayle saved me with her ult, and then I save her with my gun. Let's fucking go. I used these 2 kills to get a massive lead in mid lane. Unfortunately, that lead was for Yasuo and not me. I turned around to fight bot lane. I promise I turned this around, they weren't going to win this without me. Please. Let me have this. While trying to push the enemy team off Drake, we start fighting. Garen runs into our whole team because it's a Garen player, and they end up surviving this because they're playing Garen. My ult doesn't really do anything, but I managed to escape Rand. Unfortunately, Garen heard what I said about him earlier, and my great escape is pretty short-lived. I follow my Vi into battle, which turned out to be a pretty massive mistake because their Yasuo followed me into battle. I'm proud to say that I did enough damage to just about get through Yasuo's shield. You know, I don't think this build has been given an opportunity to shine. My ults have been dodged or I've been jumped on before I can show off this stroke of genius. Until now. Their team is lined up. My ult is perfect here. They don't know it, but they're already dead. Wow, now that was truly devastating. I wiped out a third of Smolder's health bar, solo, and then I died. Again. Me and Kayle are back fighting Yasuo together. That is until he uses Wind Wall and stops my character from being able to do anything for a few seconds. But after it's down, we're back in business. I hit a massive ult that still doesn't do any damage, but it doesn't matter. Yasuo eventually goes down, after Kayle was sacrificed, and Caitlyn ulted, and I flashed. Light work. I saw the CC'd Garen and immediately ulted without noticing that A, this Garen is actually pretty close to me, and B, my ult doesn't do any damage. Luckily Caitlyn was able to bail me out, and then immediately I get ulted by Yasuo, but luckily Nami could bail me out, and is this what it feels like to be a bank? This is great. Yeah, the game didn't last very long after that. I'm finding that this build is an incredible combination of doing less damage while not feeling like I'm really surviving any longer. But maybe that was just a bad game. Maybe this build has potential. I'm sure it can work. Yeah, no. Again, Misfortune can do silly damage early, but that definitely drops off. Like, I get that Sion is a tank, but this is embarrassing. I've never seen an ADC do less damage, and he hasn't even finished an item yet. I found more success letting my tower kill enemies than me actually shooting them. Then again, when you're up against Sions this huge, it's no surprise that I'm not doing that much damage. It's 16 minutes into the game, and he's fighting almost my entire team. I mean, I tried doing damage to him, I promise I tried. Apart from my ult, I'm not really sure what I was thinking there. Not that it would matter if it did hit anyone, I'm not joking, this ult doesn't do damage. Yeah, that's not a lot of damage. At least I can use it to clear waves. Yeah, good luck taking my tower now. Okay. Ah. Okay then, fair enough. 43 damage, I do 43 damage. I'll try not to let this game influence you too much, but when it takes at least 7 tower shots to get through Sion's W shield, you start to wonder how much chance you have in the game. And it turns out, not that much. Okay, so this build goes in C tier, I guess? And mostly because it's just Misfortune, but it feels worse. I'm doing the same stuff, but because of my items, it just looks like I'm really bad at the champion. That might also be because I don't play the champion and I'm really bad at her, but that's beside the point. I thought that this build had some potential. I think that's just because the potential is realised by building Misfortune normally. You can't behave like a bruiser because you'll die despite your tanky items, so you still have to play like an ADC, but it's just one that doesn't really do any damage. Then when an enemy wants you dead, you die anyway. I'm sorry to say this, but this just isn't a very fun build to play, honestly. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any build suggestions, then leave them in the comments, I read them all, and have a great rest of your day.